Ladies and gentlemen, life is not easy for everyone. You know, we like to talk about life as if it's something that can be easily understood, neatly packaged, something that comes with a manual or a roadmap. But that's just not how it works. Life is messy. It's unpredictable. It doesn't hand you a scorecard, and more often than not, it doesn't care whether you're ready for the game or not. There are days when everything feels in place, when the sun hits just right, when you're moving through the motions and feeling like you're winning. But then there are the days that come without warning. Days when you wake up and realize that everything you thought was solid beneath you is slipping away. And no matter how hard you try to keep your balance, no matter how many times you've rehearsed your moves, you find yourself tumbling. We talk a lot about success. We glorify it, we worship it, but let's get real for a second. For every success, there's a shadow of struggle, a hidden price that no one talks about. People see the glitz, the glamour, the shiny moments, but they don't see the other side. They don't see the late nights when you're staring at the ceiling, wondering how you're going to make it through. They don't see the moments when you're fighting against yourself, questioning if the path you've chosen was the right one, or if you're just a little too lost to find your way back. And yet, we keep moving forward. Why? Because we have no choice. Life doesn't stop. It doesn't pause for you to catch your breath. But here's the thing, it's not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about surviving. It's about showing up every single day, even when the odds are stacked against you. Because the reality is, everyone has their battles. The ones you see on the outside are often just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface, there are stories of pain, loss, sacrifice. There are moments of doubt that gnaw at the core of you, pushing you to question your worth. But still, you get up, and you keep fighting. Because life might not be easy for anyone, but there's something powerful in that. Something humbling, something that connects us all. The struggle is universal. No one gets a free pass. Maybe that's the whole point. Life isn't about finding the easy road or avoiding the tough times. It's about how you respond when you're hit with the unexpected, how you keep walking, even when it feels like the world is pushing you down. You'll face loss, you'll face disappointment, and maybe at times you'll want to quit. But in those moments, remember you're not alone. Everyone at some point is walking that tightrope. We're all just doing the best we can with the hand we've been dealt. And maybe, just maybe, that's the victory. Life, in its essence, is unpredictable and messy. We like to imagine that we can chart our course, that we can plan ahead, and somehow avoid the obstacles that might come our way. But the reality is, life doesn't follow a script. It doesn't ask for your permission before throwing a curveball. It doesn't care about your plans or the careful structure you've tried to create. 1 minute, everything seems to be falling into place, and the next, the ground can shift beneath your feet with no warning. It's easy to think that other people have it all figured out, that they have a plan, a clear path, and all the answers. But in truth, most of us are just fumbling through, trying to make sense of things as they unfold. We wake up every day with a certain set of expectations, but life has a way of shattering those expectations in the most unexpected ways. People get sick, relationships fall apart, jobs are lost, opportunities vanish. It's not that life is cruel, it's just that it doesn't operate on the same timeline or according to the same rules we want it to. And that's the thing. Life doesn't care whether you're ready for it. You can prepare all you want, you can strategize and plan, but sometimes the most important lessons come from the moments you never saw coming. Life, in all its messiness, doesn't ask for your readiness. It simply unfolds. You can resist, you can try to control it, but ultimately life moves in its own way. It's chaotic, unpredictable, and often leaves us questioning where the next step should be. And yet, it's in that unpredictability, that very chaos, where so much of our growth happens. There are days when it feels like you're on top of the world, when everything is clicking into place, when the decisions you make seem to fall in your favor, and the universe seems to be opening doors for you. These are the days when you feel invincible, like you've finally cracked the code to success or happiness. Everything you touch seems to turn to gold, and the world around you feels alive with possibility. In those moments, it's easy to believe that life is going to stay this way, that the good times will keep rolling, and you'll continue riding this wave of success. But then there are the other days, the days when everything feels heavy, when the weight of the world presses down on your chest. You wake up feeling like you're already behind, like the universe has flipped a switch and everything that was once easy is now a struggle. Those are the days when nothing seems to go right. The projects you've worked so hard on fall apart, relationships hit unexpected bumps, and the dreams you've been chasing feel like distant, unachievable stars. In those moments, doubt creeps in. You question yourself, your choices, your worth. You wonder if the highs were just a fluke, and you fear that you're destined to be stuck in the low forever. Life, though, doesn't stay in one place for long. It shifts, often without warning, moving us from the highs to the lows and back again. One minute we're celebrating victory, and the next we're grappling with failure. It's not a straight line, it's a winding, unpredictable road with sharp turns, steep climbs, and sudden drops. We often want to hold on to the highs to capture those moments and make them last, but the truth is, life constantly moves between extremes. There's no permanent high, just as there's no eternal low. The key isn't in avoiding the lows, but in finding the strength to navigate them. Life will continue to shift, to fluctuate, but it's in the contrast of the highs and lows where we truly learn who we are and what we're capable of enduring. Success is often portrayed as a shining beacon, something to be chased, something to be celebrated. We see the accolades, the trophies, the glamorous moments when someone stands at the top, bathed in applause and admiration. It's easy to get swept up in the image of success, the photos on social media, the headlines, the public victories. We like to think of success as the end goal, the reward after all the hard work. But what we don't see are the countless hours that go into getting there, the quiet moments of struggle that go unnoticed by the outside world. Behind every achievement, there's a story that's rarely told, the story of what was sacrificed to reach that point. The late nights when the rest of the world was sleeping, but you were still up, pushing through the exhaustion, making progress inch by inch. The hours spent perfecting something, knowing that the payoff might not come immediately, but still committing yourself because you believed in it. And along with that effort comes a steady undercurrent of self-doubt. Success doesn't come without questioning yourself, wondering if you're good enough, wondering if it's all worth it, or if you're just chasing a dream that will slip through your fingers when you reach for it. These doubts are quiet companions showing up when you're alone with your thoughts, making you question whether the sacrifices you've made will ever be worth it. Then there's the toll it takes on your personal life, the time spent away from family and friends, the moments missed because you were too focused on achieving something, too consumed by the chase. Relationships can fray, and while you're climbing, you sometimes forget to check if you're leaving people behind. The physical and mental exhaustion that accumulates, the moments when your body feels like it's breaking down under the weight of constant pressure, these are the hidden costs of success. Success is not a singular moment, but a long, relentless journey. And for all the rewards that come with it, it's easy to forget how much was sacrificed to get there. The truth is, no one gets to the top without paying some kind of price. Whether it's your time, your peace of mind, or even your sense of self, there's always a cost. And while the world cheers for you when you succeed, it rarely asks about the sacrifices that got you there. Success is glorified because it looks so beautiful from the outside, but behind it all, there's a battle that no one can truly understand unless they've fought it themselves. We live in a world where appearances often define the way we're seen. We're quick to judge someone by the clothes they wear, the way they carry themselves, or the success they seem to flaunt. But what we often forget is that behind every person is a story, one that's not immediately visible. Beneath the surface, each of us is carrying something. Maybe it's the weight of a past failure, the pressure of unrealized dreams, or the silent struggle to keep going when every part of you wants to quit. The truth is, everyone is dealing with something difficult. It might not be visible on the outside, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. Some battles are internal fighting with self-doubt, constantly questioning your worth, or trying to reconcile who you are with who you think you should be. Other battles are external, dealing with loss, financial hardships, or facing the everyday challenges that life throws at us. These struggles don't announce themselves with flashing lights. They're often quiet, unseen, hidden behind a smile or a well-crafted social media post. And because we don't see them, it's easy to assume that others have it easier than we do. But in reality, every single person around you is carrying something, often alone. For some, the battle is mental or emotional, trying to maintain stability in the face of anxiety, depression, or overwhelming stress. For others, it's physical, fighting a chronic illness, recovering from injury, or just struggling to keep up with the demands of daily life. There are people silently fighting addictions, people dealing with the emotional scars of past trauma, people managing toxic relationships, people trying to rebuild their lives after a setback. These battles don't come with visible scars, but they are real, and they take an immense toll. And sometimes the hardest part isn't the battle itself, it's that we often face it alone, without anyone knowing the true extent of what we're carrying. We put on a mask, we go through the motions, and we don't let others see how much we're struggling. We feel like we have to keep it all together to maintain the illusion that we're fine. But the truth is, we're all human. We all have our vulnerabilities, our cracks, and our scars. And we are all doing our best to manage our personal battles, even if it's not always visible. What makes life harder is the feeling that we're the only ones going through something tough, that everyone else is moving forward with ease while we're stuck in the struggle. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The battles we face, though unique to each of us, are shared experiences. We all fight something, and if we were more open with each other, we'd see how much we have in common. So before we judge others or assume their lives are easier than ours, it's important to remember that we all face challenges, and sometimes the greatest act of strength isn't in conquering those battles, but in simply continuing to face them each day. There's something powerful about resilience. It's not about being the strongest or the smartest or the most prepared. It's about the ability to keep going, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. Life doesn't give us time to stop and regroup. It doesn't hand us a break when we need one. It doesn't care if we're tired or broken or feeling like we've given all we've got. It just keeps moving forward. And so, in the face of adversity, we are forced to do the same. We keep moving even when we don't know how we're going to make it through. It's not always graceful and it's not always pretty, but we keep showing up. Resilience is often misunderstood. We think it's about never being knocked down, about staying strong through every storm. But the reality is, resilience isn't about perfection. It's about survival. It's about acknowledging that life will test you in ways you can't even imagine, and knowing that no matter how many times you fall, you'll get up again. It's about understanding that you're allowed to feel broken, to feel exhausted, and to feel lost. But what matters is that even in those moments, you keep moving forward. You might move slowly, you might stumble, but you keep moving. There's a quiet strength and resilience, a quiet determination that keeps you going when the world is telling you to quit. It's the small victories, the days when you don't feel like getting out of bed, but you do anyway. The days when you want to walk away from it all, but instead you take one more step. It's not about achieving perfection, not about arriving at some ideal destination. It's about surviving the moment, whatever that looks like. Sometimes resilience is as simple as just showing up. And showing up doesn't always mean being at your best. It doesn't mean being strong all the time. Sometimes showing up means being vulnerable, admitting that you're not okay, but choosing to keep moving anyway. It means taking a breath and saying, I'm still here. I'm still fighting. Life will throw obstacles your way, some small, some that feel insurmountable, but resilience is knowing that the struggle doesn't define you. It's what you do after the struggle that matters. It's the decision to keep pushing forward, to keep going even when you can't see the end of the road. It's the ability to survive, and to do so with the quiet knowledge that every step, no matter how small, is progress. In the end, resilience is the quiet power that allows us to keep going, not because we have all the answers, not because we're invincible, but because we know that if we stop, we lose the chance to reach the other side. And that alone, simply continuing, simply surviving, becomes its own kind of victory. Struggle is something we often try to avoid or minimize, but it's an inherent part of being human. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to compare ourselves to others, to look at someone else's life and think that they have it easier, that their path is somehow smoother than ours. But the reality is, no one has an easy path. No one goes through life without facing some kind of adversity. Whether it's a personal challenge, a loss, a failure, or a moment of doubt, every single person will, at some point, experience struggle. And what's interesting is that despite the differences in our lives, in our backgrounds, in our circumstances, struggle is what connects us all. When we look at someone's life from the outside, it's easy to assume that they're living in an uninterrupted stream of good fortune, that their successes are a result of luck, privilege, or ease. But behind every outward appearance of success or happiness, there are challenges hidden, unspoken battles that don't always make it to the surface. Everyone, regardless of their status, their wealth, or their position, is fighting something. It may be a battle with their health, with their sense of self-worth, with relationships, or with the fear of the unknown. The circumstances are different for everyone, but the struggle is universal. And sometimes the most important thing we can do is recognize this shared experience of adversity. It's easy to feel isolated in your struggles, to think that no one else understands what you're going through. But in truth, everyone has faced their own form of hardship. It might not look the same, it might not even feel the same, but it's a part of being human. And when we realize that, we can start to see each other differently. We can stop judging people based on what we see on the surface, and start recognizing the common humanity beneath the layers of social masks and expectations. The beauty of struggle, even in its pain, is that it unites us. We are all, in our own ways, pushing against something, whether it's an external force or an internal battle. Struggle doesn't care who you are or where you come from. It doesn't discriminate based on race, gender, or social standing. It's a leveler. It's something that in the end brings people together. We can connect over shared vulnerability, over mutual understanding. When we open ourselves up to the fact that everyone at some point will face challenges, it creates a bridge. It makes room for empathy, for compassion, for connection. And it's this shared experience of struggle that allows us to grow, not just individually, but collectively. When we understand that everyone has a battle, we start to approach the world with more humility. We become more patient with others, more forgiving, more willing to offer help or support when it's needed. Struggle isn't something to be ashamed of, it's something to be embraced as part of the human condition. It teaches us resilience, patience, and empathy. It reminds us that we're not alone, and that the shared experience of overcoming adversity is what makes us stronger, together. In the end, the struggle is a common thread that runs through every life. It's the one thing that we all have in common. And when we start to see that, when we start to understand the universality of adversity, it becomes easier to find compassion, to lift each other up, and to remember that no matter what we face, we are all walking this path together. Victory isn't always about the moments of triumph, the grand achievements, or the times when everything falls perfectly into place. Often, victory is found in how we respond when life throws us a curveball, when the unexpected comes crashing into our lives without warning. It's easy to think of success as a destination, as something that happens when you reach the top of the mountain or achieve a certain goal. But the true victory lies in the moments between the highs and the lows, and the quiet determination to keep moving forward when everything feels like it's falling apart. Life has a way of throwing us off course. We plan, we prepare, we try our best to control the outcomes, but the reality is that we can never predict what will happen next. A sudden loss, an unexpected failure, a setback that seems insurmountable, it's in those moments when we feel as though everything we've worked for is slipping away, that our true strength is tested. How we respond in those moments determines who we are, what we're made of, and how we will move forward. It's not about avoiding hardship, it's about how we face it when it arrives. There's a kind of quiet courage in simply continuing even when you feel like you're sinking. It's the willingness to stand up again after you've been knocked down, to take one more step when the path is uncertain, to move forward despite your fears and doubts. The victory comes not from avoiding the difficulty, but from choosing to press on, even when everything inside of you is screaming to quit. It's in those moments when you're at your lowest, when things seem impossible, that you have the chance to show the world what you're really made of. True victory isn't about perfection or success in the way that others define it. It's about the resilience to stay in the game, to show up every day, even when you're not sure if you can keep going. The real triumph is in your decision to respond with courage, to pick yourself up again, and to keep moving forward despite the odds. It's not the absence of struggle that defines victory, it's how you navigate the struggle. It's in those moments of challenge that the greatest growth happens, that the deepest lessons are learned, and that the true strength of character is built. In many ways, life is less about what happens to you and more about how you react to it. It's about choosing to keep moving forward when the road is tough, when you can't see the end, when you're unsure of how things will turn out. The true victory comes from learning how to navigate uncertainty, to keep going even when you feel like giving up. In the end, the real measure of success isn't how many times you stand on a podium, but how many times you stood up when life knocked you down. It's about showing up again and again in the face of adversity and continuing to walk the path, no matter how uncertain it may be. The true victory lies in that choice to move forward, to keep striving, and to embrace the struggle as part of the journey.